Welcome back to the City Current Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference and powering the good. And we're honored to be with Colleen Hoke. She's the co-founder and CEO of ObjectiveHealth. How are you doing?
Great. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and start with some context and background. Give us a little bit of history, especially with you being co-founder tied to ObjectiveHealth. Give us some background.
Sure. So my entire background personally is in clinical research, a little over 30 years. And I met a physician, a specialist, a gastroenterologist, and it was at the right time in 2018 that we came up with this company, ObjectiveHealth, to democratize clinical research. So it's a physician and a clinical research person coming together and seeing what can be done in the community with all the technology that's now at our fingertips. And, you know, the microbiome was mapped, the genome, was mapped 20 years ago. And we're just now seeing personalized medicine and all the unique indications for so many more treatments for patients, but there's not enough supply. There's certainly not enough supply of clinical research sites in the community, and there's a tremendous amount of demand in the pharmaceutical industry and then broadly in healthcare to improve lives faster.
Before we talk about how you do it all, the magic, let's talk about why the clinical trials are so important. So let's set the stage. Why are clinical trials so important?
First of all, many diseases stagnate and don't improve. So many think of chronic disease states. We're sort of stuck. We need to continue to innovate and iterate with both narrowing of populations, diverse populations, and also new therapies to help get past where we are. And if we don't do that together, we're sort of stuck. So while we've had a tremendous amount of improvement in the last 20, 30 years in increasing longevity and also quality of life, there's so much more work to be done. So if we're not all participating in trials, we just don't have access to those new therapies with your doctor at your pharmacy. So we're all part of the solution.
Absolutely. And I think that is the beauty of what you're doing is you're bringing all these sides together. So when you talk about the pharmaceutical companies, the physicians, the specialists, and then obviously the public to tie in and the diversity in terms of the population to make sure that, you know, you're covering all areas, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. There's a lot of science and innovation there as well. And so talk about kind of how it starts on your end, and then we'll start talking about the magic of what you do.
Sure. So we start by meeting with physicians or health systems or community health systems who would love to have access to clinical research for their population, but it's such a unique field. It's so different than, we'll say, the business of healthcare that they need a partner to get that done. And so we help support research where research isn't. There are many other companies who look at amplifying existing research efforts. That's great too. That's solving a different problem. We're coming together with the community participants and trying to help in a disciplined way, population health research, but deliver access. And so we bring the expertise and the technology and we partner with specialists and health systems to build a centers of excellence. We're in, it's exciting. We are in 16 different states with 30 different centers. In the community, we serve 19 million people today and growing. And, you know, we'd like to be somewhere at 45 centers by the end of the year. As we continue to partner. Most of our centers of the 16 states that we work in are in the Southeast. Most. We do have a center in California and New Jersey and Indiana, but I would say most are in the Southeast.
That's awesome in terms of where you are, but also where you're headed and the growth for the vision. Talk about the technology, the algorithm. Let's go ahead and kind of dive into the magic of what you do.
I love it. So one of the most complex spaces of clinical research is finding the right patients for the right trials fast. Lots of inclusion, exclusion. The science can be very complicated of who's eligible and when. And it makes it difficult for the community practitioner to, when their busy day of healthcare, to also remember 2 pages of trial inclusion, exclusion for their ulcerative colitis patient, let's say. And even though they think the science is terrific, it's just very different piece of what they're going to do in their day, and to remember all of that. So one thing you can do is use our technology to point to their schedule and say, you're going to see Miss Smith, Mr. Smith next week. This patient is potentially eligible. And then the provider can make that decision and talk to the patient about research. But without that step, it's not that it doesn't happen fast. And that's part of what we bring to the table is our integrated research technology in the electronic health record as supported by their provider.
And in your world, you're bringing 3 different sides together and making it seamless, but also making it easy. And so when you think about the public having access to know the trials, the physicians, doctors, researchers on one side, having access, and then the pharmaceutical companies plugging in to create the trial, like all of those pieces in unison have to be kind of, accelerating and rolling together. So talk about kind of why each one of those is necessary to keep that wheel spinning.
Yeah. So you can think of us as sort of the spinning example. We're the framework and sort of a chassis across the organization in delivering research. And so each of those is important. So, we bring all stakeholders together and try and drive value for all stakeholders. So patients, their providers, and of course, pharmaceutical companies. Pharmaceutical companies or biotechnology companies, they value time. That's probably their most valuable asset is time. But really, if you think about it in a patient's healthcare, where they are, if they need access to new treatments, where they live in the community, time is pretty darn valuable too. So as we partner with their doctors holistically in the health system, we don't recruit patients outside of their doctor. We stay partnered with their doctor. All the diagnostics that are funded by the trials stay with their doctor. And so they benefit from disease management and diagnostics funded by research. They benefit because they believe in the research and we're a facilitator. And then of course the patient benefits by having access. Of our 19 million patients we serve, 40% of those patients are diverse and underrepresented populations in clinical research. And I'd like to think that with their providers, we're helping bring access to really important treatments that they otherwise might not receive or know about. We spend a lot of time just educating about what's possible, whether it's with us or some other provider, just educating what's new in the marketplace for the disease.
Absolutely. And carry that into then when you talk about some of the different projects and research trials that are going on. I know obviously some of them are top secret, but give us a little bit of illustration around some of the ones you can talk about, just to paint the picture, to give an illustration around kind of how all this comes together and plays out.
Sure. So one area of focus that we've spent quite a bit of time on is even something simple like a biomarker. So we're working with a number of companies, may the best company win, in detecting colorectal cancer disease with a blood test. So being able to share with patients that you are at risk. It's not a diagnostic. It's not diagnosing you with colorectal cancer, but you're at high risk based on this blood test that you could have or develop colorectal cancer. Please go get a colonoscopy. And so in terms of preventative care, that's awesome. In the health systems that we're working in with federally qualified health centers, patients don't realize the access they have to colonoscopy or preventative medicine using advertising from pharmaceutical companies, using this type of blood test. We're not only doing good research to help refine the blood test, but we're informing and educating and hopefully helping patients become aware of other treatment options that they might not be aware of, and then go get preventative care. So somewhere in there, I hope we're delivering value on value for all of our constituents.
What are you focused on when it comes to trends and technology and innovation, and obviously the algorithms and things like that? What has your attention, looking forward, saying, okay, these are things that we might integrate in or that we're already working on integrating in an exciting way? What are you focused on?
We're focused on, we have a small footprint at the point of care. I think that's really important to have a relationship with the patient and have a relationship and proximity with the provider. But while that small footprint is important, we're also really focused on what's called decentralized trials, or technology where wearables using telehealth focused, just like healthcare, focused on convenience for patients, because we want to be patient-centric to even allow more access and more possibilities for patients. So I would say we're pretty focused on technology in the patient's home or direct to the patient. So a hybrid approach, a small footprint, we'll see you, but we also can see you at your home or wherever it's convenient for you.
Yeah, it's amazing how all those worlds collide to create new opportunities, just like you're talking about. So carry that into how can the community help your efforts?
First of all, pay attention, listen to education about clinical research. Not all research, that's a broad field. Not all research is the same. Some, like I said, was a biomarker, a blood test. Some is very invasive and depending on the disease state, much more involved clinical research. It's not a one size fits all. So pay attention. You altruistically, it's a very, very good thing. We need more patients to participate so that we can finish out these trials and get the next generation of medicines in the marketplace. And there's so much promise out there, but only if we all work together to build the trials. So
I know it's going to range dramatically, but how long of a duration, when you talk about these clinical trials, what's the duration length for these?
We're in early phase trials that are a couple of years. We're in later phase trials that are 3 to 5 years. We also even have short duration trials like the biomarker trials I referenced before. So it's a wide range depending on the disease state.
When you look at the future, you've already kind of mentioned some of your growth goals, but what are some of your vision and goals for the future?
We would like any provider who wants to provide access in terms of clinical research, for which I think all health systems and providers will have clinical research as an ancillary and a care option in all of their systems, not just academia, different types of trials, but not just academia. I would like ObjectiveHealth to be considered. So I could see a day where there's hundreds of ObjectiveHealth sites, that's in quotes, but it supporting specialists and health systems in the community across the country.
You've already kind of talked about some of the cool innovations and how it plays a role when you talk about the blood test and things like that. What's your words of encouragement because you sit on a really cool vantage point in terms of the intersection of all these different sides and seeing behind the scenes what's going on and what's possible. And so give us some words of encouragement when you look at 2023 and beyond, especially in the healthcare industry and what this means for us and our personal health. Give us some words of encouragement for what you see, but what's possible for the future.
First of all, I just touched on this, but all of healthcare will become a research engine. And that's exciting. You want, maybe de-identified in the right way, of course, respecting privacy, but you want your data, your latent data that's just sitting there in some system to contribute to making better decisions faster for your provider in value-based care and other ways in disease management, and faster to connect that information to pharmaceutical companies so that they can better inform their R&D dollars to make people healthier, period. And I'm really optimistic that a lot of these systems are coming together over the next 5 years. Maybe that's too ambitious, but there will be a day where we'll be able to, you'll have a blood test, I'll have a blood test, we'll understand your unique profile and tailor the best possible treatment, both safety and efficacy for you. Then remarkably improving where we are today in healthcare.
Putting on the CEO hat on your end. So as CEO, what's your favorite part of your job, of your opportunity at Objective Health?
So I love people. They say, you talk to anyone who works with lots of people, on one hand, it's the people, and it's the people. And I love the people. I love working with people. I love high-fiving people. I love that we're doing this together. We're pulling the wagon. We're doing something hard. It's worthy. It's noble. And in the big picture of noble. And we're part of making that difference. So I love that.
That's awesome. We'll wrap up with website. Where can we go to learn more and to make sure that we're in the know for all the opportunities?
Yes, we're www.objective.health. Go on our website. There's contact sheets. We'll get right back to you. We're a roll up your sleeves, make things happen kind of company. And get engaged. Keep checking that website. And we also post new information about therapeutic areas and things of interest in clinical research. So it's a good place to go.
The website again is objective.health. So objective.health.
Correct.
Colleen Hoke, co-founder and CEO of Objective Health. Thank you for all you do and for coming on the show. Greatly appreciate it.
I love it, Jeremy. This is awesome. Thank you so much for the opportunity.